My name's Josh King. I've been working for PRS for about 5 years now, and I am currently doing repairs and quality control for the amplifier department. What I have here in front of me at this moment is a 30-watt Tuxedo 112 combo, and I'm getting ready to put this through the process of sound testing, where I will be looking for any inconsistencies with the volume and tone pots. I will be looking for reverb issues, any tube problems that arise during the test, any rattles in the cabinetry. Those are all things we want to make sure we find and take care of before they get out. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire the amp up, and I'm going to start with all the controls except the gain at about 12 o'clock, so we get a nice just flat what the amp would sound like. I'm going to go ahead and make sure the guitar's up, and I'm going to bring the volume up until we get a little bit of volume and get a nice clean tone. That'll kind of be our point of reference for this. So basically what I want to do is I want to make sure that all these tone controls are working properly. So you can hear at this point, that's about the amount of bass response you get. So I'm going to work the bass knob. You can hear it kind of thin out and build in as it comes up. So we're going to do the same thing with the mid control. You can hear it get kind of scooped as it fades out. Check the treble, make sure that it rolls off the highs properly and that there's nothing scratchy or just not fluid about the working of it. I'm going to set those back. I'm going to turn the reverb up and make sure the reverb comes up to full. You can hear it's got a nice lush sound on the reverb. It should just be kind of a nice functional level at 12 o'clock, and it should shut off completely when it's down. One more thing I need to test at this volume is the bright switch to make sure that it's working properly. So right now the bright switch is on. That the highs kind of roll off when it's shut off. So at this point what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the amp up a little bit, and I'm going to check. I'm going to do the basic test that I do for rattles, which I'm going to leave everything pretty much in this position, except I'm going to shut the reverb off, bring the volume up about halfway because it doesn't distort too bad at that level, but we're going to leave the bass all the way up. And I'm going to crank up the master volume on it so that when I hit low notes, it'll give me an idea of whether the cabinet's going to rattle or not. So we're going to come in and we're just going to do just some chromatic notes. Looks like for checking for rattles in the cabinetry. After I've checked through that, if there's no rattles in the cabinetry, then I'm going to move on to test and make sure that the tubes are responding properly at high gain and high volume, and that there's no issues with any kind of like bottom end issues or crackling or scratchiness in the tubes. So to do that, I'm going to set the EQ back flat. I'm going to leave the reverb down at the moment. I'm going to shut the bright switch off. I'm going to crank the amp up to see what happens with it when the gain comes all the way up. Right now there's nothing nothing obvious standing out in the tubes. So I'm going to bring up the bass and see how it responds with the bass up. I'm going to bring up the mids, make sure the mids are responding fine at this range. Then for the final test on this, I'm going to bring the treble all the way up, and I'm going to bring the reverb all the way up to make sure that I don't get any kind of interference or feedback issues from either of the two of those. There's no real increase in the amount of hiss or hum coming out of the amp, which means that the tubes are all stable and it's good to go, and there's no issues with reverb feedback or anything like that, so this amp should be good to sign off on and send over to be boxed. So basically this whole process of sound testing is something that we personally do on every single amp, cabinet, whatever it is that comes through. They all get put through the paces to make sure that everything's working properly, and anything that doesn't seem quite right is immediately pulled aside and marked, and that's something that we take apart and deal with before it gets out to a customer. And it's a pretty stringent process. It's one of those things that we don't want to let anything get out that shouldn't get out. So once it's done, we've got paperwork to sign off on it. The paperwork will get done, then we know it's good to go.